Dynasty the king.
I know what y'all are thinking. These dudes are on episode 4, and they already a day late and a dollar short. Well, we are a day late, but we are not a dollar short, and I will tell you why. The truth of the matter is, we were going to take the week off from the Dynasty Exchange. And I mean, all of us. I wasn't planning on joining another episode of the Dynasty Exchange for a while. The guys were going to take the weekend off, I should say, because, of course, they dropped episode 3 on Tuesday morning. But I'm experiencing a severe case of FOMO because Jerry Jones's Yacht Club, a.k.a. America's Fantasy Football League, America's Dynasty League, they are in the midst of their annual Palm Springs retreat, a.k.a. their owners' meetings. Remember I told you in episode 1 how hardcore these dudes were? They have owners' meetings in Palm Springs, and your main man Michael Smith is not there, and I'm missing out. So I called up Commissioner Josh Walsh, and I said, dude, at least let me live vicariously through y'all in the form of a podcast, an emergency podcast. Josh left the bar. He left the party. I don't know what they're doing, but he said, okay, Mike, I got you. I'll give you a few minutes to take you inside the owners' meetings, this exclusive club. And Josh, I'll start with this. Did all of y'all pull up in black Range Rovers in suits with security and sunglasses on? And did you say no comment to the media as they tried to bombard you guys on the way in to ask you about what y'all are voting on and the measures that y'all are taking up at these league meetings?
I mean, obviously, you would think that would be the environment. But the reality is when you're another level of celebrity, I know you've achieved a lot in your career, but being new to the yacht club, we actually send decoys. So we send our body doubles in those black Range Rovers, and then we pull up in the back dressed actually as a security, because why would we ever waste our time talking directly to the media unless we're, of course, talking to you, our main man Mike, and fellow league member. You know, it's only because you're a member that we're giving you this inside access. But this is so exciting. It's so cool to get to do a show with you live from Palm Springs, because not only are we going to be reviewing rules and talking about the future and what that holds for the league, but trades happen here that would never happen anywhere else. And Mike, if you're looking to make a push, I know that everyone knows I'm trying to tank for 25, right? I'm clearly like, hey, future value, young player, pretty simple stuff. I'm kind of like at a standstill. I'm vicariously going to be living through you trying to get deals done with a bunch of inebriated owners who are feeling loose and feeling like they want to make a play. So I've heard Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is a hot topic. I think you should send some offers.
Oh, they're talking about my guy? People are talking about my player?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
See,
I was in the car with another owner.
Okay, let's go on a tangent here. Because see, Elijah Moore, all right, interestingly enough, I was at the actual owners' meetings. The actual owners' meetings.
Other, not
Phoenix.
Actual, other.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. The other owners' meetings, the less prestigious owners' meetings, the National Football
Less exclusive. There's 32 of them and 14 of us. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? And anybody named Mama got to that one, I got to pass to that one, right? I got to press pass.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I was there. As a matter of fact, I think that's the last time I saw you. No, I saw you at Super Bowl in Phoenix. So we were at the owners' meetings in Phoenix, and I remember talking to members of the Cleveland Browns contingent. And long before everybody started picking up on the buzz of Elijah Moore in Cleveland this offseason, Elijah Moore out of the backfield, Elijah Moore's Deshaun Watson's favorite target in training camp. Oh, wow, look how they're utilizing Elijah Moore. Long before his value started to skyrocket, I talked to members of the Browns contingent, and they told me they had nobody on their roster like Elijah Moore last season. They had nobody who knew how to play off schedule with Deshaun Watson the way Elijah Moore can. They were so excited to have acquired Elijah Moore. Now, typically, and I mean this, and I told you this, we talked about this, despite your suspicions, I do not use my NFL access to my advantage in the yacht club. I don't. A lot of my moves are just gut feelings. I mean, I got most of the same information y'all got. Maybe this being an example of it, maybe a little bit more here and there.
I'll come back to
you
that.
You would challenge that? You know, I'm not. If I'm lying, I'm flying. I don't.
No, you're not lying.
I don't call GMs and say, "Hey, tell me about this guy."
Of course not.
Trade for him and like that. Yeah.
Of course not, but you have faces to the names, and so you know what's smoke and what's fire. If someone's writing a rumor that this coach likes this certain guy, you've probably met that coach and know how that coach feels and what his tendencies are. So it's not that you're calling GMs direct, it's that you know how to read the room better because you've actually been in the room with those guys. That's my contention.
Okay. No, and that's fair. And I know as much as we talk about Davis being the hunted, I'm actually the hunted because I know this. You don't have to say it. I know it. There's a certain level of satisfaction that's going to come with you guys beating me in this league. I welcome that. I appreciate it. That's why you let me in. Like, how cool would it be for us to kick the NFL insider's ass? I got it. So anyway,
absolutely.
Back to the owners' meetings. So I was hip to Elijah Moore during the spring. Fast forward, I think it was Jerry Jeudy. One of the league members hit me up about Jerry Jeudy, who I paid a pretty penny for. I said, okay, I need Elijah Moore. I need Josh Downs to stack with Anthony Richardson. And I need Jelani Woods, who's currently on IR. Done deal. And since then, Elijah Moore's value has done nothing but rise. The buzz has gotten louder. And I've had a few offers for 2 seconds for Elijah Moore. I can get 2 seconds right now from a couple of teams. I'm holding out because I think he's going to be worth a first plus very, very soon. So tell your boy, if he's interested in Elijah Moore, he's got to come correct. Before we get back to the wheeling and dealing, before we get back to all the deals that are made at the bar or on a golf course when it's not raining in Palm Springs, I want to know the history of this event. How many years have you guys been doing it? Did y'all do it like year one? Y'all had a league meeting? How many years have y'all been doing it? And just give me the inspiration behind it and how it's evolved over these years.
Totally. So really the birth of Jerry Jones Yacht Club came from a redraft league that's been playing together for, I believe, 15 plus years called Fantasy is Reality. And right around the same time we decided to do a owners meeting for Dynasty and to form the Dynasty League, we decided in couplets with that, we should also do a redraft at the same time. So for 4 years, we've been doing the Palm Springs trip. Every single year of Jerry Jones Yacht Club, it's become interconnected. The other thing we realized
what's the course? Hey, what course do you got? What course do you guys play? Not that I know. I'm not.
Now we're at a course called Terra-Lago right now. So it's okay. We had a couple bids to a couple places. The reason we have to be at Terra-Lago, this is a true story. We booked a different course, but one of our league punishments in redraft, and this just speaks to the culture of all the guys who are playing in the Dynasty League, is the loser of that league has to wear a maid costume, a sexy maid costume, out onto the golf course. And Terra-Lago is right at that level of a nice enough course for us to play and enjoy it, but also allow for the maid costume to be worn. So those are the important considerations you have to make as a league, to make sure that traditions are carried. So we're going.
That sounds like content to me. That sounds like, sorry to interrupt you. That sounds like content. So I'm going to need some pictures or it didn't happen. And I'm going to need that posted to the Dynasty Exchange.
Trust me, we will be sending that out very shortly. It's going to be a good time. We also have a golf tournament we play in, and I plan on winning this year. I feel very dialed as an owner, especially since I'm tanking. I want to compete where I can. So I feel really good on the short game. It's been raining. Greens are going to be sticky. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you tanking though? Like, okay, let's be clear. Like, can you tank for 25 and 23? How do you tank for the 25 draft in 23? Next year you're taking. What are you doing this year? Because you and I have had a lot of trade conversations. Matter of fact, hey, nice doing business with you. I haven't talked to you since you accepted. But I got Jeffrey Wilson, who's currently on injury reserve to start the season, for 3 fourth-round picks, 2 in 24, 1 in 25. But what are you doing this year? Because I can't quite get on the same page with you because you're not tanking for next year's draft because you don't have your 24 first. You were all in for the 25 draft. So side note, what are you doing this year?
Yeah, so the model I've accepted is that there's a certain class of asset, my 25 first, that I know are going to go up in value. I'm not saying I would never part with them if someone said Justin Herbert for one of your 25 firsts. I'm taking that deal. But I want to be careful that I don't ruin my future by trying to live in the present too much. That being said, I'm not incentivized to go get the 101 this year. I have no first round picks in this year's draft because I traded back to build up the capital. So I'm trying to put together the scrappiest team I can while not ruining my future. I want to be that thorn in someone's side. I want to ruin someone's playoff chances because you know what? At every moment I have a chance to compete. And we wrote the charter this year. We have very specific rules regarding tanking. A lot of people hear tanking and they go, oh, do you guys just let that go unchecked? No, there's a very specific way in which you have to tank. And so I want to go about that
Even though I'm not
Well,
tanking.
so pretty
Reader's
simple.
Digest version, yeah.
Yeah, basically, we do a draft lottery, but what it's based off of is how many total points your roster could have scored, like it was a best ball team, throughout the year. What this prevents teams from doing is having an incredible roster just on the bench. It means if you're tanking, you have to strip it down to the studs. You can't be hiding Patrick Mahomes and Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley
Right.
on your bench and just be like, well, I finished 0-16. Now I get Caleb Williams. No, your roster actually has to be one of the worst, but then there's still lotteries associated. So that being said,
and there's the toilet bowl, which is the non-playoff teams contending for an additional lottery ball.
Yeah, we get complicated with it. One day I'm sure we'll publish the contract and a bunch of lawyers will rip me up for like the inconsistencies, but it'll be a fun time. But yeah, basically I want to compete when and where I can because listen, I want to build a winning culture for my guys. I want everyone on my team to believe we're winning every single game.
Yeah, I'm contending but not competing this year. Again, for those that have been listening, I'm an expansion team owner. I have a team I have the youngest team in the league in terms of average age. And I am looking to develop young players, be competitive, even though I'm a long way from contending. All right, but back to the league meeting in Palm Springs. So what is up for vote this year? Because really, you know what else I want? I want people to not only take away Dynasty insight from this podcast, but I want them invested in the league almost as much as we are. And I want them invested in so far as like they want to model things after this league. So what is up for vote? Because I'm not going to be there. Like, I'm assuming I still have a vote. But what is up for vote? Okay, what's up for vote this year? What are we voting on in terms of rule changes?
There's a lot of minor things that are kind of internal with what are our co-owner powers, certain things like that. But the most important is really, are we going to convert to a tight end premium? We are currently a half-point PPR, 6-point touchdown scoring for quarterbacks, that is throwing touchdowns, with slight yardage bonuses.
It should be 4 to me, by the way. I tried to get 4. Y'all voted that down.
That's another conversation, actually. That's another conversation we're revisiting. But the tight end premium is a big question. Because as we've expanded as a league, the player pool has gotten diluted. And anyone who plays fantasy knows that after you get past tight end 4 or 5, they're all the same dude. You're just hoping for a touchdown that week. So the problem is one of our teams currently has like 5 or 6 of the top 10 tight ends. And so we're scared of creating too strong of an advantage. And that's the challenge at these owners' meetings is you want to be fair and do what's best for the league long term, but you also have to take into account presently how it's going to affect league economies. So we don't want to give one owner a massive trade advantage to just build further wealth. But at the same time, we want to increase the amount of players that people can start in their double flex. I mean, we start 2 flex, a super flex, 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, a tight end, and of course a quarterback. So there's just less guys to go around since we expanded. And so we want to incentivize some of these tight ends, guys like Jake Ferguson, who you and I have been talking about trading. If you still want to make that happen,
I'm open to it. You got to come correct. I'm not going to just give you Jake Ferguson. He's one of my sleepers this year. He's one of everybody's sleepers. I don't think you can be a sleeper if everybody is awake to you. I don't think so. I'm gonna stop calling him a sleeper. But I think he's a good, solid, young tight end that I could feel good about starting, even if he's not a superstar. But go ahead. You finish your thoughts.
No. Part of my desire. I liked him when he actually was a sleeper. Would you not agree with that, Mike? Were we not having conversations?
Yes.
I want America to know, even when they drafted.
You're a Cowboys fan. You watched him last year. You saw him catch every target, and you were aware that with the departure of Dalton Schultz, he was the guy that looked to be ready to assume that starting position, even when they drafted.
Even when they drafted. Yep. It's exactly what I was about to say. But that's one of the, I think, going to be the most hotly debated topic because it's the most relevant and it's going to affect scoring the most. So that's just one.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm voting against that because I think tight end premium is redundant. Like you just called it out. So like after Kelsey, Andrews, and Hawkinson, Mick Waller this year, we talked about him offline. Like, for me, that's their premium based on the nature of the position. If you have one of those elite guys, there's your tight end premium. You don't need to add a further advantage to having one of those elite guys. If you want an advantage at tight end, draft one of those guys early or go acquire one of those guys or develop one of those guys. I just never understood the appeal of tight end premium.
I think the counterpoint is really what's more fun to start, Rondell Moore or David Njoku. David Njoku is a starting tight end with the Cleveland Browns. Like, he's a featured guy, whereas Rondell Moore, he's maybe the two. I mean, certainly you would hope that he's the wide receiver 3 in Arizona because you're hoping Michael Wilson's the wide receiver 2. So I just think it gets to a place of like, okay, who do you really want to start in the flex? You know, is Dawson Knox, who, you know, there's all this talk about Dalton Kincaid, which I think is massively overblown, and I've gone on the record saying that. Oh my gosh, dude, I can't. How many times have we heard this drumbeat? This is a complete tangent of this rookie tight end is going to break fantasy. Rookie tight ends, number one, don't. But is he better than Kyle Pitts? Is he better than TJ Hawkinson? Is he better than Evan Ingram in their rookie years? No, I just feel like we've seen that before. So, but great example. Dawson Knox, you still want to have value for your Dawson Knox, who I believe will still get decent targets, you know, with Buffalo. So that's the conversation we're having right now in terms of scoring. There's also some interleague dynamics about whether or not there should be trade vetoes. I don't think those will get anywhere, though.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a crutch. Talk about the tight end premium. Like, you want to start David Njoku? Start him. You want to start Dawson Knox? Start him. Like, you know, don't be scared. You know, you think you have that kind of conviction about those guys? Start them over a lesser wide receiver. You know, I don't know. I'm just not big on extra incentives. And I still will pound the table for 4-point touchdown passes because that makes 6-point touchdown passes makes quarterbacks infinitely more valuable than they already are in Superflex. It just, the math doesn't math for me. Okay.
I hear you.
So that's the votes. What goes down after sessions out? You know, like, because I've been to the other owners' meetings, and then there's the sessions and there's the discussions. Those are closed door, meeting not allowed. And then the owners leave and they get with their families and, you know, they socialize. They do their thing. The coaches, they get out of session and they socialize. And there's a big reception. Like, tell me some of the non-business affairs activities.
Well, first and foremost, everything's business. You could be playing a game of beer pong, and you have to be worried about, is your partner really wanting to partner up with you because it's been a long time, or are they trying to sweet talk you for a trade? So the trades never stop. I'll start there. Okay. We do a great dinner. Obviously, we draft for our redraft league. It's just kind of a tradition. So that's an important part too. But I would say the main thing is we're just really competitive, man. It doesn't matter if it's Mario Kart. It doesn't matter if it's Fall Guys. It doesn't matter if it's beer pong. Last year,
Davis packed his PS5. I heard.
Yeah, Madden's getting thrown around a lot this year. I mean, it's a great group. I got to be careful too. You know, you don't want to leak too much from your sources. This is the league group chat. Last year, great example. I'm a sucker for competition. I'm a sucker for side bets. Dylan and I got into a wager against 2 other owners about beer pong, and we played one of the most epic battles, first games to 3. The loser had to jump in the golf course pond. And unfortunately, I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm not going to say why we lost. It was an epic battle, but your boy had to jump in the scummiest pond of my life. And I'm a Texan, so I don't worry too much. I'm like very much like I'm washable, you know, just rub some dirt on it. Dude, my skin was literally on fire and crawling for like 3 days despite what I showered with. So
this sounds
just
like
a lot of hijinks.
Sounds like the most epic guys trip. Tell me about some of the deals that have been done. Maybe like your favorite deal that you've gotten done at the league meeting, or the most infamous or famous deal that's been done in league history at the league meeting. Because that's where business, this is what I love about it. That's where business gets done. You know, agents are there. Are agents there? Is Drew Rosenhaus walking around the grounds here out there? You know, because agents are there. To get in. The owners are there. League personnel are there. Coaches are there. GMs are there. Media. Everybody's at the owners' meetings, man. And that's where stuff happens. So tell me about the biggest transactions that have taken place at the owners' meeting.
Yeah, this really is the star for the Dynasty side of the owners' meeting, no question. These trades really changed the landscape of the league. The most famous is actually from year 1, when a lot of us were new to Dynasty, didn't understand what was going on. One of our owners, who is 5 or 6 inches taller than Davis, actually played semi-professional baseball, a heck of an athlete, was challenged by Davis for his 6th round pick in the startup draft. And we were like, what are you talking about? Davis spotted him, I believe, 9 points, and it was 1st to 11. This guy, who is a semi-professional athlete, scored 1 point, and then Davis put him to bed, scored 11 in a row. It was nuts. And we had a rule question of, are you allowed to gamble picks on side bets? And I was like, hey, I'm okay that it happened once. That's fine. Never again. So that was the beginning of the Value King's origin stories. He was underestimated based on his stature.
Wow.
And as you've heard,
wait, Davis can hoop? He can hoop like that?
Davis can hoop like I'm actually wearing a white man can't jump. That would be Davis at the park right there. He is Woody Harrelson.
Really?
Like you would. Wow. He's a hooper, man. He's a heck of a hooper.
Okay.
So I would never get into a hoops match with him. Maybe a golf match, but not. So that's maybe one of the most famous. My most regretful trade, I will admit, happened to me last year. I think I shared a little bit on the Christian Watson in the first episode. I missed out on a 3-way trade that I set up for Amon-Ra. I was going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown and give up only Michael Thomas and like a third. And I ended up over-negotiating it, being overly a nice guy, and I got cut out of my own deal. So not only did I miss out on Amon-Ra, I was feeling some type of way. And then I went to Dylan, and I was like, hey, man, you have Cortland Sutton and Juju, both of which were with new offenses at the time. And I was like,
seems like a lifetime ago when it was so much buzz about those two dudes.
Dude, first of all, my favorite Super Bowl bet based on odds last year was the Denver Broncos. I thought this is a Hall of Fame level quarterback coming to elevate an offense that's win now.
Who knew?
Sidebar. Do you think, Aaron Rodgers is not Russell Wilson. We agree on that completely. You don't have any worries about the Jets maybe falling a little bit flat on their face?
No, I don't. If he stays healthy and they're able to protect him and establish a running game with this stable of running backs they got.
Holy cow!
I think the Jets can win that division because their defense, is legit, and it may take them a while to take flight on offense. But Rodgers, he had a down year last year for a variety of reasons. He looks so comfortable. He looks so happy. He looks nothing like Brett Favre when Brett Favre got to the Jets. Talk about history repeating itself. Brett Favre looked like he didn't want to be there because really, remember, the Packers traded him to New York because they weren't going to trade him to Minnesota, which is where he wanted to go.
Right.
Rodgers, maybe it was the underground retreat or whatever, the darkness retreat. Rodgers seems so at peace, and he seems like he's having so much fun, and his teammates have a healthy adoration and awe of him to where it's like they don't want to let him. And I'm just getting this from Hard Knocks. Like Hard Knocks has been so revealing about Rodgers as a teammate and about this Jets team. I think they got a chance to really be good this year, to win the AFC East. Can they take the AFC? I'm not sure. But to answer your question, this will not be – the only common denominator is Nathaniel Hackett, who Rodgers actually loves, and Rodgers can hide, okay? It's like Rodgers is driving that bus, and we know that. I have zero concerns about Rodgers being to the Jets what Russell Wilson was to the Broncos last year. But you were saying, sorry.
No, I tend to agree. It's, sidebar before I finish that awful trade. I'm trying to avoid reliving that pain. But of the last 4 Super Bowl winners, right, I believe Patrick Mahomes has won 2 of them, right?
Yes.
In the last 4 years. The other 2
right.
is a veteran, almost Hall of Fame level quarterback going to a win now team. You got Tampa Bay. Correct. You got the Rams. I was trying to follow the trends last year with Denver. So the Jets is a Super Bowl.
That's what Russell Wilson was trying to do. Russell Wilson looked at Tom Brady and said, "Oh, well, I want," because remember he was in the stands, and that was the whole thing. Like he wanted what Brady had because he thought he was entitled to getting the same type of inter-office and organizational cachet as Brady. So he sees Brady go and win in year 1 with Tampa. They see Matthew Stafford and go and win in year 1 in Seattle. In Los Angeles. Right. He absolutely thought he could do that. He could do that same thing with a win now roster in Denver and oops upside your head. So I get it. You don't want to overreact, but I think Rodgers, there's no comparison between Rodgers and Wilson.
I tend to agree. I wanted your authority on it as well because I'm all in again, but I got hurt by Denver last year. So finishing this trade, essentially I gave up Chris Godwin a second and a third for Juju and Cortland Sutton. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but this was the start of a series of bad trades for me that helps me realize I needed to rebuild this season. I still had a playoff push toward the end, but I was like, you know what? I'd rather prepare for the future because I just got a little bit too caught up in wanting to compete all the time, which brings me to this year. I'm not trying to touch my 25 firsts. I'm not trying to convince myself I can be plucky. I just want to make deals that make sense for the bank.
Well, what deals would those be? Okay, so you got Jordan Love, and you got 3 young, nice receiver pieces in George Pickens and Christian Watson and Quentin Johnston. I would say that's probably your young core. You have 10 of the 14 25 firsts in our league. What are you looking to do at this league meeting? Like, what kind of deal would it take to get you to either break up that receiving core, or you said you didn't want to touch the bank for 25 first, but with everybody getting liquored up, I mean, the thirst might win. You know what I'm saying? The thirst, it all went perfectly. Let the liquor tell it. At the yacht club owners meeting, in Palm Springs, like,
I'll pour it with a heavy hand.
What are you ready to pounce on?
Yeah, I think that the only thing I would break up the 25 first for is a receiver that would be an upgrade from my initial three guys in Quentin Johnston, Christian Watson, and George Pickens. And to me, those are few and far between. Or more importantly, a young quarterback I believe will take me long term. Anytime you can upgrade a quarterback in a super flex league, especially one that's south of 30, it's totally worth the risk. So I would be happy to break up the 25 first for that. But I don't believe that's going to happen, number one. And number two, I think seasonally my picks aren't as valuable as they're going to be a little bit later on in the year. Even after the midway point of the season where guys know they're not going to make playoffs. And if you're listening, and you're in this position, you need to know this. Now is not the time to pounce on teams knowing they need to rebuild. When someone gets it in their head they have to rebuild, they are voracious going after future capital. And I just think everyone here has such rose-colored glasses because no football has been played that I probably won't get any prices that excite me in terms of the firsts. But on the cheaper side, guys like Kareem Hunt, who I think could sign somewhere, that's a cheap piece that could really ruin someone's day. Even an Ezekiel Elliott is really fun because if I trade a third or two, that's kind of nothing to the amount of thirds and fourths I've built up. Yeah. He could ruin someone's day, and that's what I'm looking to do this season.
Okay, you're looking to do some marginal improvements. I got you. Okay, because I was curious because before I let you go, I just want to point out how I've been living rent free in your head because I listened to last week's episode. And the end of last week's episode, you devoted it to critiquing my trade for Zay Flowers for 5.24 seconds. And then in the chat the other night, in the league chat the other night, I just was minding my own business. I put in a rather innocuous post. It's like, hey, here's Zay Flowers rapping at the Ravens rookie show, wide receiver one. And then you're like, oh my God, he's so overhyped. And then you ask the league, how much would you pay for Zay Flowers? Why are you so consumed with what I paid for Zay Flowers? Why is that bothering you? You're all in on 25. Why can't I go spend my capital like I want to get what I think is going to be a star receiver in 2023?
Listen, I mean, I feel like the accusation is Freudian in nature and that you're projecting that I'm rent-free in your head. If you like what you paid for, why are you hopping on a podcast worried about it? No,
I'm not worried about it. I just heard you yapping last episode, and I said, let me get Josh on the horn and figure out what's what here.
Fair enough. No, listen, I actually did some math. I'm a competitive nerd. I'm not nerdy all the time, but if you push me, I'm going to research the absolute crap out of something and I'm going to find out the exact details. So speaking of your Zay Flowers trade, listen, if you had 7 firsts and 10 seconds, dude, great trade. You went and got your guy. You have the capital to do that. But those 5 seconds at the time were actually 18% of your keep trade cuts roster value. Now, I'm not saying keep trade cut is everything.
You got too much time on your hands. You got way too much time on your hands.
Not enough, and I focused on the wrong things.
And did the math about how much of my value I traded away for Zay Flowers?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen.
So what was the net loss? But what was the net loss? If those 5 seconds at the time were 18%, how much value did I gain by acquiring Zay Flowers? Because it must have been a net loss.
There is a net loss. So he's worth 4,700 in KTC right now. Those seconds in a vacuum, the thing about picks in KTC is they don't get value adjusted. So those are about 13,000. So you're looking at about 9,000 in loss, which is a player like Jamar Chase. It's a player like Jalen Hurts. That's how those guys are ranked in there. And once again, I'm not the first person to say that is law, but that's a good barometer of how much am I overpaying? So my issue with it is that
I hate that word.
Zay Flowers has to turn into a Jamar Chase. Has to turn into a Garrett Wilson at the very least to be worth what you paid for him. Is that in his range of outcomes? Maybe. But if you're saying maybe on something you literally bet your house on, that's a bad trade. And another thing too, man, You have the ability, like we talked about, you read the room, you know NFL owners, you know NFL coaches better than the average Joe. Not everyone is going to know Sean Tucker, who's on your roster right now, is going to make the cut, that they're high on him at training camp before Twitter does. So I just want to protect our listeners. The go get your guy method, it's relative to how much risk you're taking. Like, question for you, is Zay Flowers finishing in the top 24 wide receivers in normal scoring this year and half PPR scoring this year?
Well, because I'm being competitive and not contending, I don't really care where Zay Flowers finishes this year. I got him for the long term. I believe in his career. Okay, listen, part of it's emotional. I interviewed him at the Combine.
Part of it.
He's a great kid with a great story who came up the hard way and stood 10 toes down at BC when he could have transferred for NIL money. He stayed there. He balled out on a bad team. He's done nothing but shine all off season in camp and in preseason. I had traded him away in a blockbuster trade, so I wanted him back. For me, it's about, so you say he's got to be Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. I'm not getting those guys. I don't have my 24 first. I have 125 first. In order for me, you're in real estate, and I think I've said this on a previous episode. I can't knock on your house and your house on your house front door and say, hey, I'm gonna buy your house. You tell me the house is not for sale. Well, I'm gonna say, well, here's what's valued on Zillow, so I'm gonna give you this amount. I have to pay you enough to make you give up the player. So the 5 seconds to me is the cost of doing business. Likewise, because I really thought you were envious because I didn't come to you for George Pickens with that price.
That is
partially
true.
True. However, we've been talking off and on about George Pickens. You at the owners' meetings. This is a remote conversation. George Pickens. What's it going to take for me to pry George Pickens from you? Because I do have a 25 first. I know you want that infinity gauntlet. I know you want this. Hold on. You want this. This is what you want. This is what you want.
You have the infinity gauntlet?
Hell yeah!
You've been keeping it in your office this whole time?
Who does it? I have Milner over there too. I have a hammer over there too. You want the infinity gauntlet when it comes to the 25 draft. You want all 14, 25 draft picks. I can get you up to 11. So okay, if you want this pick, and I'm interested in George Pickens because the way I look at it is my 25 first will be George Pickens. Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal live from the owners' meetings. Let's make a deal from Palm Springs. What's it going to take?
Listen, I just lost Jeff Wilson. You know what I'm trying to do this season. In fact, you want me to do this season, right? You're competing. You don't want everyone who is going for a playoff push to win. You want me to knock off some opponents. I need running backs, and I need young running backs. You have a guy on your roster I love. I love the offense that he's a part of, but admittedly, he's just a part of a committee. He's got some upside for sure, but he was a second-round pick in our rookie draft in Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby and your 25 first, I will do the deal for George Pickens. I will give you my guy. I will give you the man who I almost named my firstborn son after. I am that in love with George Pickens. Does anyone block like George Pickens? Does anyone have that dog in him like George Pickens? They are contested catches.
I'm sorry. Is there a measure on the ballot for points for blocking? I didn't know you get fantasy points for blocking. Did you just bring up George Pickens?
It gets you on the field. It gets you on the field. Absolutely.
It's just like pass protection. It's just like pass protection. Right.
Hines Ward wasn't getting targets until he started blocking like he was a fullback at 350
pounds. But just don't lead with that. That's all.
I love the way he plays football. Listen, you're emotional about Zay Flowers. Yeah. I'm emotional about George Pickens because I love the way he plays.
I don't know that I love George Pickens as much as you love George Pickens enough to trade Tank Bigsby for and my 25 first. You mentioned Jake first, but no, you're not giving. Once you have this 25 first, I'm not getting it back unless I make playoffs in 24 and you've determined that my 25 first is one you're willing to trade. But I'm not getting it back until the lottery in 25 because that would be bad. Why would you trade it back without seeing what it is? So I know I'm not getting that pick back anytime soon. So you mentioned Jake Ferguson earlier. I think something that's a little more reasonable is Pickens, Ferguson, But Ferguson's not Tank Bigsby.
No.
I have my 24 second. And I need, but here's the thing. I think that gets into, and I said I hate this word, but I'm conveniently use it right now. I think that gets into overpay territory.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
You just said you got a lot of thirds. You got a lot of thirds. There's a 24 third attached to a pretty bad team, and then I'll take your 25 third. So 2 thirds. That math is mathing.
Here's the thing. So we're at a first, a second, Jake Ferguson.
Yeah.
And I give up Pickens in 2 thirds.
Yeah.
You knocked on my door. There's no sign in the yard.
There's no sign. Did I? I
I'm just
don't know
asking.
if I knocked on your door. I think we saw at the we met at the grocery store and we got into a conversation about the fact that you potentially were looking to relocate. I didn't knock on your door. Neither one of us are pressed to do this deal. This could just be a good deal for both of us. We're not pressed to do this. You're not shopping Pickens. I'm not tripping over myself trying to give up my 25 first.
Totally. And I know that, you know that. We're both very respectable gentlemen trying to just do respectable business. But you know what I respect is the value of a dollar. And the dollar is going to zero very quickly. Inflation's been something in the news all the time. People may see thirds. People may see the dollar as less valuable, but I know the work it took to get them. And for that reason, the 2 thirds are kind of a hang up for me. You know, I worked really hard selling players off my bench to get those thirds. It may feel like it's not much to you, but if it isn't that much, do I really have to include them? You know, for a George.
Well played. Well played. Because I was about to say, you really gonna let 2 thirds stop you from getting a deal done? Well, if it's not that important, then why do you need it?
Yeah.
Am I gonna let 2 thirds stop me from getting a deal done?
Right.
Fair.
Right.
Split the difference. Give me the 24 third.
I got a better idea. I just traded you Jeff Wilson. I'm a running back down, right?
Yeah.
What did I trade him for? I traded him for 3/4.
Okay.
I will give you 2/4, and we'll call it a deal. I will give you some fourths back.
I got a team full of fourths. The last thing I need is fourths.
So the thirds are valuable.
It's 1/3.
Do I get to pick the third? Do I get to pick the third?
Well, wait, before you pick the third, how about this? What about, since you have all the 25 first, or 11 out of 14, what about your 25 third? Keep the 24 third that's attached to a good team. What about your 25 third? So I'll push it out a year.
So that's the 301 potentially?
I mean, if you have your way, it's a 301, although I doubt it will be because you have some decent players. I don't think like you said, we have rules in place for tanking. You're not going to have a young core like that and be the absolute worst team because it's not going to be straight down to the studs.
I'm trading part of that young core away.
You are. You are.
You know, Mike, I will include the third, but can you do something for me in return? And it's stupid. It's nothing. I'm an emotional, ego-driven guy.
Fab? You want some fab?
How did you know? How did you know I wanted some
How
fab?
much fab does one person need? You're up to about, aren't you like $250 in fab right now?
Yeah, and just the listeners, though, we start with 200 in fab. And what's great about Sleeper is you can trade fab. And for someone who's rebuilding like me, the waiver wire is a very important place. You need to be able to win on those big bids.
Can you tell the people where you got that idea from real quick?
Listen, I was inspired by the hustler of hustlers. You came in and changed the league, not just with how many deals you were doing, but by strategies I hadn't thought to employ. So I copied you. Listen,
I got up to 300. Good artist copy, great artist steal.
Fair enough. And imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, which you're attempting to use to help me get rid of a player I adore. So for that reason, I think if you included 40 fab, we'll call it even. Yeah, you get. Are you really going to let 40 fab stop you from getting an elite young wide receiver? I mean, and also kicking off the owners meeting, you may have FOMO, but you're about to be the talk of the entire town. You're about to take over the airwaves.
All right, so 40 fab. All right, so here's where we are. We're at Pickens, your 25 third for my 25 first, Jake Ferguson, my 24 second, and 40 fab.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go back real quick. The 45 is not a problem for me. It's not a problem. You asked earlier, you said, do you get to pick the third? What third would you have picked?
Not my 25 third.
Which one would you have picked?
Oh, here's the thing. I'm a patient man. I just started with my most least valuable third and let you work me down, if we're being honest. Okay. But now I'm excited about the deal and I want to make something happen. So I'll be straight.
Okay, no, we're close. We're close. Let me ask you this. All right. Since I'm throwing in that 45, what if you gave me that 24 third? Okay. A non-Josh Walsh 25 third.
So I'm at 3/3 now in this deal.
No. Still 2. No, a non-Josh Walsh. Still, we're back to 2
I changed the third. I changed the third that I was giving.
The 25 third. But I'm asking for the 24 third. I'm asking for the
instead.
The 24
there was a
third
replacement, not an addition.
Plus a second third, but not your third in 25. You understand what I'm saying? So a 24 third, but not the projected 301. Let you have your way, and I will go up to 50 fab.
Change the 50 fab, keep the 40, add Jason Brownlee. This is his name, right?
Yes, that's his name.
The Jets earlier.
Yes, yeah, Jason Brownlee. Okay.
I bid on Brownlee. How much did you bid on Brownlee to beat me out when we both bid on him in the waiver?
25 actually. 25. I paid 25.
Yeah, I bid 11.
Yeah.
So we'll do not. So I'm not asking for 50 fab. What I'm essentially asking for is 65 fab. But I want it in 40 fab and Brownlee, and you will have a deal.
Then do your 25 third. Do the 24 third, your 25 third. Do the 24 third that I want, your 25 third. You get Brownlee and 50 fab. So Brownlee,
deal.
50 fab.
I'll do that deal. You better send that in my inbox before I change my mind.
Can I sleep
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I can't
You got it. You got 10.
This is an agreement in principle. Wait a minute. This is agreement in principle.
There's no agreement in principle.
Reserving rights.
Real estate 101 to everyone listening. Unless it's written on paper, it doesn't exist. Unless it's in your inbox in Sleeper, it does not exist.
Put it in my inbox and put the timer. I got to put it in your inbox? You knocked on my door.
1,000%.
So,
what are we talking about?
All right.
We were so close. We're close here.
No, we're there. We're there on price. But you got to allow me just to be at peace with pulling the trigger. We have agreed on a framework. There's a framework in place. The only outstanding, I'm not going to counter. We're done countering. So to recap, it's Pickens.
If there's nothing to think about, then what's keeping you from the?
No. I had to get to a framework that I could consider. If you were going to say, "Yo, it's Tank Bigsby in a 25 first or bust," then I wasn't going to do that. But now I just need to consider whether to pull the trigger and get rid of a young, solid tight end in Jake Ferguson and my only future first. At least that's tradable. I mean, we're not trading 26 picks in this draft. So my only future first is my 25. I'm ceding further control of my future. I have zero control of my own destiny. So I just need to be at peace with saying that my 25 first is George Pickens. I'm good with Brownlee. I'm good with 50 fab, both of them. I'm good with the 24 second, the 25 first, and Jake Ferguson. You will give me the 24 third that you know I covet, your 25 third, and George Pickens. The framework is in place. Okay, let me just go ahead. Let me just be at peace with. This is blockbuster. This is huge. I'm giving you the infinity. This is Doctor Strange giving you the time stone. We're in the end game now. I'm about to hand you the time stone, and I'm about to give you an 11-25 first round pick.
Do you think Thanos would have let this sit in principle, or would he have said now or never? I mean, what are we talking about here?
It wasn't a trade. It wasn't a negotiation. I'm saying I think we have a framework.
Fair.
We're good. Okay, seriously. I won't take forever. But nobody else is coming correct like this. Nobody else is coming correct. There's nobody else coming correct. I'm coming correct.
You never know.
So, all right, real quick. Who else is what are the names of being bantied about at the owners meeting? Give me some more rumors to chew on real quick. Who else?
No, totally.
Who else?
Right. The owner I mentioned earlier that has several tight ends. He has David Njoku, Dallas Goedert, TJ Hawkinson. Those are just to name a few. There's been a couple owners who are looking to upgrade tight end. And so it's a dual conversation of both the premium and should I trade for these guys now before the premium gets voted on because it may get passed, or is it like, hey, I want to wait to find out whether or not it's worth trading for that player for the premium. So a lot of tight ends, which is kind of surprising, has been a part of the conversation. And then Jonathan Taylor. The real question is like, okay, he's missing the first 4 games. Is it a win now team? He's not on the block.
In he's not?
Yeah, so the owner that has him is notorious and has been very successful, I might add you, for developing players over a long period of time. Does not trade a lot. It trusts his process. But the fact that he's even entertaining conversations of like, I might trade Jonathan Taylor, that's a huge sign. That's unofficially he's on the block. So a couple teams are circling, including the Value King, because what he's doing right now, he's trying to scoop up all competitive players that would be a threat to his roster. He's trying to win a championship before it ever even happens. So,
he's one of the teams. I mean, I'll put this out there. He's one of the teams that's offering 2 seconds just to play defense against another competitor that has Deshaun Watson and wants to stack Elijah Moore. With
I spoke to that competitor and I shared that and I said, hey, if you're going to make a move, you need to do it now. Just to, not because I'm trying to help one side or another. I just am like, hey, I want to see some action happen. I want to see the first domino fall. And since you've overthought our George,
no, I haven't overthought it. I just need a beat. Can I just have a beat?
No, I mean,
I didn't say no. I didn't say no.
No. So what do you need a beat for?
Just to say goodbye to my 25 first and my future as I know it. Like I'm not.
Is the 25 first and the future going to say goodbye back? Is there any reciprocation to that goodbye? It sounds like you're not ready to make this decision, and I respect that. That's okay. Maybe we can talk another time. That's fine.
I think we have a framework. We have a framework. We are done negotiating. Pencils down. We are done.
I'm trying to close. I'm excited about that deal. I'm trying to close.
Are you? Oh, okay, this is the most excited I've seen you about it. Okay, there is no more negotiating. I'm not going to come back and say, oh, hey, by the way, can you fix the roof before I buy it? No. I'm not. You have my word. I am not coming back. I either take it or I say,
if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Just remember that, folks. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist.
So Mike's
in fairness,
you mean to tell me we do not have an agreement in principle? We have an agreement.
We have a framework. We have an agreement in principle. What do those principles mean? I expect you to do what's best for your roster. I'm going to do what's best for my roster, and that could change the moment I walk out this door. I am walking into a den of vipers, Michael. You know this. Who knows what could happen?
But once you get a few drinks in you, I don't think it's going to make you more conservative. I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about that. Maybe I should have waited to do this deal because from what I understand, everybody gets a lot more generous at the owners meeting. Bro, I held you up long enough. Thanks for checking in. I feel like I'm there, even though I'm not. Send pictures, send trade offers. Tell everybody to send some trade offers. I am ready to take advantage of people. That sounded weird, but you know what I'm saying. But send me some trade offers. Y'all enjoy yourself. It's the reason, one of the many reasons why I wanted to be in this league so badly. Why Jerry Jones's Yacht Club is America's Dynasty League, because you guys do it right. Y'all do it big. You do it right. Have a good time. Next year, I'm going. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely.
Commish, have a good one, man. Keep an eye on your inbox, all right? Keep an eye on your inbox.
I will. Let's see if you can commit. We'll see if it happens.
All right, brother. Later.